Hey guys, it's Kayla here. Relationships. I consider this one of the most important features in a classroom. I remember the very first time I had a challenging class, and at the end of the year, I knew how important it was to establish a classroom that was built on trust, to let students know that you care about them, and to build a strong rapport with the students and among the students. At the end of that year, I remember telling my mom, who is also an educator, when a kid knows that you care and knows that you're not out to get them, so to say, when they know that you are working for them, they will move mountains for you. I know that I've gone back to it time and time again, but I feel like Rita Pearson said it best. She said, kids don't learn from people they don't like. And that's so true. Jeff Bliss echoed this sentiment when he told his teacher that she needed to touch the students' hearts. And think about your own experiences in the classroom. A teacher has the power to take the joy out of a class you love if they do not show that they care, if they are acting like teaching is just a job. But a teacher also has the power to make you love a class that you previously hated whenever they uplift you, when they try to engage you in the content, when they show that they care about you and about your success. To me, this is the key to learning. You have to capture hearts before you can capture minds. Growing up, I remember my mom telling me, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Recently, I learned that Theodore Roosevelt actually said this. I just thought it was one of her big quotes. But how true is this quote? We as humans crave connections. Our students want to know that we care about them. They want to feel like they're not just a score in the grade book. They're not just another paycheck for us. They want to feel valued and respected. Once they do, they're more apt to learn. I think building relationships is so important in the classroom. Once you build those relationships, you know how to engage each student. This will help them be more interested in learning. You increase their motivation by showing that you care and by providing activities that are specifically tailored to their needs. When you form a rapport with the students, they won't want to let you down. They're going to want to exceed your expectations, and they're going to work hard because they don't want to disappoint you. I think half the battle in the classroom is getting to know the students, getting to know their learning needs, getting to know what interests them. Once you get to know the student and you let them get to know you, I think a partnership is formed. And this partnership allows you to work together to reach and even exceed goals. Relationships are the foundation of a healthy and productive classroom, and more importantly, a happy and motivated student. Research consistently shows the value of building positive relationships in the classroom. Even Ron Edmonds, in the quote that we received, said that we can successfully teach all children whose schooling is of interest to us. When we build relationships with our students, we care more about their schooling. We have an invested interest in the students. At the bottom of this post, I will provide some links to articles on the value of building relationships in the classroom. And if you want to do some research of your own, you can do that. Unfortunately, some teachers are not building positive relationships in the classroom. There are so many mandates that are pulling teachers in many different directions. I think many teachers lose focus and they don't take the time to establish and continue to nurture relationships in the classroom. We are here to teach every single child. So figuring out how to do that, I think, is the most important job in the class. And I think it's worth the time that it takes to get to know the students so that you can teach them at their level. Also, I think, unfortunately, we've grown up to believe in the authoritarian model of discipline in school. This is the, you do it because I say so, don't ask questions, don't talk, just do your work. And I think this type of mentality doesn't foster good relationships in a classroom, and it's definitely not best for the students. I know that I learn best when the environment feels warm, inviting, free from judgment, friendly, honest, respectful, and I think that our students do too. We have to build relationships and make the classroom a place that students want to be. And we have to keep the lines of communication open. We have to notice and reach every single student in our class. By doing this, I think that every single student will be better equipped to learn more than you could ever imagine. It starts with the relationship. Remember Rita Pearson, kids don't learn from people they don't like. As for my own experiences in school, I've always enjoyed learning. I like challenging myself. I enjoy the process of doing research to learn new things, to develop understanding of concepts. One particular time, I think, when I was thoroughly engrossed in learning happened during my college career. I was taking several child development classes, and they had a lab in those classes. And with the lab, we had to work in the Child Development Center there. And I got to see learning theories in action. So as I got to college, I fell in love with the theories of child development, the theories of learning, and as I got to do those labs, I got to see those in practice. In the Child Development Center, we were required to use a positive discipline approach. Students only received logical consequences. That means if they spilled their milk, they had to help clean it up. If they hurt another child, they had to help the child get an ice pack. So different things that were logical consequences. There were no negative consequences at all, like timeouts. Instead, the teachers focused on helping students learn empathy and problem-solving skills. So if a 2-year-old student bit another student, the two students got together and they had a discussion. Yes, 2-year-olds had a discussion about how they felt. The biter got to help hold an ice pack on the person that was bit, and they talked about how biting hurts. Same thing with preschool students. If a preschool student pushed another student, then the two students had to have a discussion about their feelings and about ways to better handle the situation in the future. I remember laughing at this model. I thought it was not going to work at all. It was nothing like the way that I was raised. I remember telling everyone in my family, these kids are not going to learn appropriate behavior. They're not going to learn how to act because they don't get consequences for anything. How wrong I was. As I observed in and worked in the Child Development Center more, I noticed that students began having empathy for each other. I noticed that by developing this empathy, by developing the problem-solving skills, the students were more concerned about each other. And this in itself limited the number of discipline issues. So seeing this led me to question my own beliefs and look at things in a new way. I began to think about the ways that I learn and what sort of environment I would want, especially as a child who is just now learning the rules of the world, learning how the world works, learning how to get along with others, while trying to maintain some sort of independence. And with deep introspection, using empathy and looking at different perspectives, my thinking actually evolved. I began to see the value in teaching the children how to respond to their feelings and how to make choices and how to solve problems together. My thinking and understanding of student behaviors grew even stronger as I taught in the classroom, and then again when I had my own children. Now I put into practice the very discipline management model that I laughed at in my college years. I teach my children and my students empathy. I teach them conflict resolution. I use positive-based strategies because, after all, the students are just now learning how to interact with each other. I am establishing skills and attitudes that I want students to carry with them throughout the real world as they grow older. And when I think about this learning process for me, the way that my mind changed, I noticed many of the facets discussed in our book. I definitely noticed the empathy facet. I continuously, as I was learning these theories and this behavior management approach, I had to put myself in the shoes of the students, and I tried to feel what they were feeling on both sides of the conflict. And I also noticed as I was learning that I was using the perspectives facet. I had to take into account different perspectives that were completely different from my own, different ideas, different theories. I weighed the pros and cons of both sides. I observed the different ideas, and then I was able to formulate my own thoughts, my own beliefs. And I had to test my own beliefs, my own way of thinking. I even noticed that I used the application facet because I began to put the idea of positive behavior management into process. I was actually applying it with my students and with my own children. I think it's still a learning process for me. There are days that I struggle and I revert back to my old way of thinking. I question myself a lot on if I'm doing the right thing. Am I holding the students accountable enough? Am I giving them too much freedom? Are they learning how to manage their behavior, or are they just getting away with everything? And I think this reflection and questioning of myself is a part of the learning process for me. I'm continually reflecting on my actions, the way that I approach problems, the way that I approach conflict, and I'm constantly trying to learn the best ways to approach behavior management. In our book, Understanding by Design, on page 99, Wiggins and McTighe wrote, "Similarly, students have to learn how to open-mindedly embrace ideas, experiences, and texts that might seem strange, off-putting, or just difficult to access if they are to understand them, their value, and their connection to what is more familiar. They need to see how unusual or dumb ideas can seem rich once we overcome the habitual responses, and they need to see how habit can block our understanding of another person's understanding." I think that this is something that I'm doing daily. I'm having to question myself and rethink my own thinking. And I think that doing this daily helps me better understand student behavior, helps me better understand classroom management. So let me know your thoughts. Thanks for listening. Bye.